Hi everybody and welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where today we're asking the question, what is Felix the Reaper? Well, it's a game headed to the PC and Mac, with perhaps other platforms coming out later this year. It's from the Danish team at Kong Orange, and we've been sent an early doors playable demo with gameplay from it being featured throughout this video. While there are perhaps naturally a few bits and bobs that could do with some touching up, so far, having played through the early part of the game, we're pretty darn stoked about it. Felix the Reaper is a box-fresh 3D adventure puzzler where you play as the somewhat overweight, slightly camp, disco dancing Reaper, one of the many employees within the Ministry of Death. In perhaps a nod to the Final Destination series, Felix is tasked by his employers to arrange the untimely deaths of a host of individuals by manipulating environmental and situational conditions, and thus see them somewhat gruesomely dispatched into the afterlife. While getting on with such business, Felix carries his trusty Walkman, which provides him with the tunes that see him boogie his way through the shadows, because of course, that's where death is usually found. On that, you must use the sun and the on-screen environmental objects, such as trees or horses and carts, to cast shadows across the level to facilitate your navigation while avoiding direct sunlight, which does Felix no good at all. Keen to accurately mimic human movement within their messenger of death, the team at Kong Orange consulted with professional dancers and modelled Felix moves accordingly, something that's visually clear as our character rolls, pirouettes and generally prances around the level. Gameplay and art style wise, Felix the Reaper is in a very few words fairly unique, and is a type of puzzler with a backstory and setting unlike anything we've seen before. While on the surface things appear a tad comedic and even silly, its mechanics are undeniably clever, which in turn offers something really rather special and original. While the early demo starts off simple enough, the difficulty rating ramps up sharply. It's a credit to the design skills and implementation of the level play schemes that such complexity can be derived from within what appears a relatively small and at times desolate gaming landscape. We went from rattling through the early stages to finding ourselves genuinely stumped and fighting the urge to delve into the hints and tips section, a nice touch from the devs that provide players with guidance on achieving the desired aim of any particular section. While the end point of each mission is to facilitate the death of a given character, secondary objectives will keep you busy along the way. You're challenged to, amongst other things, complete the level in a certain number of moves within a time limit, and also by allowing the character not to get into the sunlight exposures for too many times. While our sessions with Felix have been brief, as should be apparent, we're suitably impressed. Like all demo builds, it has elements we'd like to see further developed. Our biggest criticism thus far would be the game doesn't easily indicate which direction the sun will move when you first hit the turn sun button. Given the game's mechanical heart is linked to this ability to correctly judge where to cast a shadow, this could do with being addressed with perhaps an enlargement of the relatively small sun direction indicator that we're highlighting on screen now. Enlarging this or improving this aspect would be most certainly welcomed for launch day. Thankfully, the devs have confirmed this is indeed the case, and a new snippet of work on screen here now shows they are well in hand to making this happen for launch. Aside from the puzzling aspects we've already mentioned, the art stylings work exceptionally well. We couldn't help but warm to Felix and his unusual charm. The team so far have also nailed the animations throughout, with the cutscenes and death sequences being standout highlights. Naturally, you can't have a game so heavily laced with dance moves without a suitable soundtrack, and on this, the synth-based pop tunes and other melodies are again on the money. With a little tweaking, Felix the Reaper may very well be one of the standout games of its type due out all year. As we've already said, it's unique, fun to play and look at, while also being challenging without thus far heading into the silliness levels difficulty-wise. We're also keen to delve further into a secondary side of Felix the Reaper, which concerns a potential love interest with a lady called Betty, an employee of the Ministry of Life, in what the devs are calling an impossible love story. So in summary, we're pretty smitten with Felix and very much look forward to seeing more of him, Betty his love interest, and his death-enabling activities when this launches later in the year. And with that, many thanks for watching. It'd be great to know what you think about Felix the Reaper, so please let us know in the usual places. Please make sure to come back soon for more indie game videos.